What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Phones and Drones. Okay, a lot of guys have been asking and a lot of people have been wondering about how the new Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra compares to the new Pixel 6 Pro. There's been a lot of comparisons done right off the bat from the S22 Ultra and the iPhone 13 Pro Max. For obvious reasons, they're all heavyweights, they kind of range in the same price category, whereas the Pixel 6 Pro comes in, not substantially, but a good amount lower than that. So, having said that, I wanted to start our channel's comparisons off with the Pixel 6 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. Spec-wise, you are getting a 6.7-inch POLED display on the Pixel 6 Pro, and obviously on the S22 Ultra, you are going to be getting a 6.8-inch display. Now, what that means is they're very comparable devices, and they have a resolution of 3120 by 1440 on the actual Pixel 6 Pro, and 3080 by 1440 on the S22 Ultra. So again, you can see just how comparable they are because of that extra tenth of an inch on the S22 Ultra. You get a little higher pixel density on the Pixel 6 Pro, coming in at 512 ppi as opposed to 500 on the actual Ultra. Having said that, screen technology is a little different. They are both OLEDs, but this is a POLED, whereas this is a dynamic AMOLED display. Gets a little more punchy, definitely gets brighter, but they both do have a refresh rating of 120 Hz. Screen to body, again, as you can see here, they are pretty comparable. You're getting a little over 88.83% screen to body on the Pixel 6 Pro, and on the S22 Ultra, 89.87%. Basically what that means is you are getting an immersive experience on both regardless. What you are gaining on the S22 Ultra here is the ability to view HDR content, and what I believe is a much more substantially responsive and resolved fingerprint sensor. So as you can see here, as Samsung's done for a number of years, they have one of the best fingerprint sensors in the game in the new S22 Ultra. It's been kind of well documented how the Pixel 6 has the in-screen fingerprint sensor. It's just not quite as responsive, but again, on our units, we haven't had massive issues like some had. What we are getting as far as a system chip on the actual S22 is that new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 from Qualcomm, and Google's first Tensor chip in the actual Pixel 6 Pro. If you guys follow the channel, you know we have really discussed this Tensor chip to no end. The potential is there, and it is such a it has such heavy and lofty expectations. I just truly don't think this chip was ready for prime time yet. There is still a lot to be really a lot to be addressed with it, as far as even just substantial software updates. The regular security patches and pixel drops have been very inconsistent with this, and something we never thought we'd say a couple of years ago, Samsung has been on top of those new feature sets and security patches on par, if not better, than what Google has been providing. So you have that little bit of a little notch and a trump card in the S22's pocket. Having said that, you are getting 12 gigs of RAM on the actual Pixel 6 Pro, and base on the S22 is actually only 8. So you're actually getting more RAM for the Pixel 6 series. Again, is it going to make a difference in day-to-day operations? I doubt that, but just wanted to call that out as well. You do have equal internal storage. They both come with a base of 128. Depending on when you ordered it, if you got that new S22 Ultra when the pre-orders went live, they were doubling the storage for you. So you were technically getting 256 as a base, but if someone was to go buy this today, 128 is exactly what you would be looking at for those price points. Both are running Android 12, obviously. They have a very comparable battery. They both have about a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. It is exactly 5,000 milliamps on the S22 Ultra and 5,003 milliamps on the Pixel 6 Pro. I'm hoping that with this comparable battery, that the Ultra actually does blow away the 6 Pro out of the water, because we have had substantial battery drain on the Pixel 6 series personally. You are also getting wired 45 watt charging on the Ultra and only 30 watt on the actual Pixel 6 Pro. This has been well documented. We don't think we're getting true 30 watt charging out of the Pixel 6 Pro. It's up to 30, which is kind of how every other manufacturer really navigates these waters. You get a burst when you have the least amount of battery to have a faster charge, and then it tapers off obviously for battery health. But I have heard that with the Ultra you are truly getting 45 watt charging with the proper wall charger. Sneak peek, guys, stay tuned to the channel. We're going to be doing a battery test. We have our meter built into that cable to see how much it's pulling in with that super fast charging 2.0 that Samsung's calling it on here. So we'll do a time comparison for that as well, and hopefully get a little better metrics out of it. As far as wireless charging, you're actually getting faster wireless charging on the Pixel 6 series if, and I stress if, you're using that new Pixel dock that we have. With the actual Ultra, you are only getting 15 watts wireless charging. So I don't wireless charge that much personally. I'd rather have the fastest charge possible. So we will be working with the wire charging more, but 23 watt wireless on the Pixel 6 and 15 only on the S22 Ultra. Just a call out I want you guys to be aware of. Camera system is another biggie, obviously. For the actual Pixel 6, you're getting a 50 megapixel main sensor. You're going to get a 48 megapixel telephoto and a 12 megapixel ultra wide photo or ultra wide camera on the Pro. Now on the Ultra, you're going to get that 108 megapixel primary shooter, 10 megapixel telephoto, and another 10 megapixel secondary telephoto, as well as that 12 megapixel ultra wide as well. So yes, you have 4 cameras on here as opposed to the tri-camera setup on the Pixel 6, but we'll see exactly what that translates to. There's been a lot of camera comparisons out between these two, and the Pixel 6 holds its own, even as far as digital zoom goes. Up to a certain extent, obviously. You're not going to match the space zoom, but the quality you get between these are pretty comparable, and I can't wait to do our own test on it as well. Video recording, you are getting 8K if you wanted. I personally don't see a usage case out of it just yet in early 2022, but the tech is there if you want to utilize it, whereas opposed to you capping out here at 4K resolution. I believe it's 4K 60 actually, specifically on this. So, moving on beyond that, you do have obviously your punch hole camera setup on the front of these. No ultra under display camera tech, which is something that a lot of people might be disappointed about on the Ultra, but these are pretty comparable here as well. You have an 11 megapixel camera on the Pixel 6 Pro for front facing cameras, and you are getting a 40 megapixel camera here on the Pixel 6 Ultra, or excuse me, the S22 Ultra, but I think it still leaves a lot to be desired. They have that pixel binning going on as well, but you do technically have a higher megapixel count camera all around on the actual S22 Ultra, which again should be no surprise just because of that price point difference. As far as weight, there is a similar weight between these devices. You're getting a 7.41 ounce weight on the Pixel 6 Pro and an 8.08 ounce weight on the S22 Ultra. Again, makes sense. There's comparable designs. They're comparable size-wise, so you would imagine as much. Both are obviously IP68 water and dust resistance. You have that in-display fingerprint sensor that we actually already showed you, and a variety of color patterns between them. Obviously, with the S22 Ultra, you gain a little bit more customization, but nothing else major. What I think personally these are going to boil down to, aside from the price of $899 and really $1,200 starting, is how well and how much you utilize these devices on a daily basis. So what I mean by that is this tried and true, obviously new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chip really going to carry you and be more reliable and responsive than what you're getting with this Tensor chip? Is this phone going to heat up as bad? Is this going to heat up as bad? It's really going to come down to how these processors, I think, truly perform. And what I mean by that is not which is going to finish benchmark tests quicker or what's going to open a website quicker. It's from a consistency standpoint that you can rely on as well. That just hasn't been there yet for the Pixel 6 series. It's well documented. We've talked about it to no extent on the channel as well, so it's something you really need to keep in mind. Obviously, we can launch apps all at the same time and do all that, And I mean, we can go from there, but that's not what this video is for. It was really to go over the specs. But I'm really curious, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Pure Android, skinned One UI Android, design. Let me know, what do you guys prefer as far as the operating system and I should say the branding right now that you're going to go for. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.